Hello all and welcome back to this YouTube channel. So in the last video we had talked about the introduction of EC2, how we can create the EC2. Okay, now in this video we will be checking out how we can connect to the EC2 instance and what are the ways that we can get SSH into the EC2 instance. The first and many people uses this way is that SSH with private key. Okay, so in this, if you download the .pem file, okay, so if you downloaded the PEM file, that PEM file you can use it whenever you want to connect to the EC2 instance. The another thing that is having the .ppk file. So if you are using with the Windows machine, there also you can see you can connect it with the PuTTY, that is a connector. From using PuTTY you can connect to the EC2 instance. Then there is third way to connect the EC2 instance is with the EC2 Instance Connect. By EC2 Instance Connect, what we can do, we can connect with the browser based windows. I'll just add it here so that we'll be able to remember. Okay, browser based window. Then there is a fourth thing that comes into ways of connecting the EC2 instance is with the EC2 Instance Connect. It's a recently launched, so it's a new launched feature where we can configure the VPC endpoint, and without having the PEM key, without having the PPK file, we can directly get connect into the EC2 instance with the VPC endpoint. So I'll also show you in the next videos how we can connect to the VPC endpoint. And the fifth one is the EC2 serial console. So by use of this EC2 serial console also we can able to get login to the EC2 instance. Then the sixth one is secure shell manager. For that you will have to configure the SSM, and then you can easily get SSH into your EC2 instance. Now let's see how we can connect to the EC2 instance that we had created. So if you remember, in the last video I had already created one EC2 instance, and it got also attached with the public IP address. So whenever you want to connect to the EC2 instance, you just have to click on the connect, and there you'll see there are the many ways that we can connect to the EC2 instance. The first one is EC2 Instance Connect, Session Manager, SSH Client, EC2 Serial Console. Inside the EC2 Instance Connect there are two things: connect using EC2 Instance Connect and connect using EC2 Instance Connect Endpoint. So first we will see how we can connect to the EC2 instance with the SSH client. So if you remember, we had downloaded that PEM key file. Now that PEM key file will be used to connect to the EC2 instance. So if you just check out the instruction that has been given, you will see open an SSH client. I am currently using the command line. So if you see here, I had already opened my CMD. Now locate your private key, and if you have everything set up with the sudo command, and if you don't have the proper admin setup, you can use this command. Currently if you just check the file is there. Okay, now to connect to the EC2 instance, what you will have to do is that, so you just have to use this command. I'll just explain the command. So here we are using the SSH utility, and we are passing our PEM key file, that is the mention here, and we are passing the public DNS. So once you get into this, click on enter. It will ask you about the confirmation. I already connected to that, that's why it is not asking me, but you will have to say yes, and then you will be able to get SSH into the machine. Now if you can see, let me zoom it, I am able to check the connectivity. That means my EC2 instance is ready to use, and it is having the network connectivity. And also if you just check, we had chosen the 8 GB as main disk, and it also got reflected here. So this is how we can connect with the SSH client. Now we'll see about the second approach, that is EC2 Instance Connect with the browser based window. Here if you just check EC2 Instance Connect service IP address are not authorized, so we will have to first authorize the browser based window so that it will be able to connect. To authorize it, you just have to go to the EC2 instance Then scroll it down onto the security. You just have to choose the security group that you had attached to the EC2 instance. Then you will have to edit the inbound rule, add the rule, type SSH protocol, and I will add the CIDR block that the browser window, so that browser window will be able to access. Now I can go to the EC2 instance, EC2 instance ID, connect. So here if you just check, the message has gone. So now I can just click on the connect. So it will establish the connection as we had already added the IP address. So that's it. So we are able to log in, and if you just check, so all of the things are there. So we were able to get SSH into the EC2 instance connect, okay, without using any public key. But here is the one more thing is that whenever you want to connect with the EC2 instance connect via browser, that EC2 instance needs to have the public IP. Otherwise, we will not be able to connect via the EC2 instance connect, that is a browser window. Now we'll see about how we can connect with the EC2 instance connect VPC endpoint. Now guys, if I had already made one video regarding the VPC endpoints, why there is, how we can use the VPC endpoint, how to configure the VPC endpoint. Now if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch. I will also add the link in the description. EC2 instance connect endpoint. So now when we don't have any public IP address and we don't want to share our public access to anyone, so this is a very good feature that we can use, that is a connect using EC2 instance connect endpoint. So for that you just have to create first endpoint. It will redirect me to the VPC endpoint, and there you'll see we have the three types of VPC endpoint: interface endpoint, gateway, and gateway endpoints. Okay, now I will just give the name of my VPC endpoint, and I will just click on the EC2 instance connect endpoint, so that my elastic network interface will allow me to connect the resources in a private subnet. Even when if I have my EC2 instance in the private subnet, I can easily get connected to the EC2 instance connect endpoint. We will check about the later on how we can leverage this VPC endpoint in the next video. So now here if you just, you'll have to select the VPC where we actually use our, where we actually deployed our EC2 instance or created our EC2 instance. Then you can configure the EC2 instance connect to use our client's IP address, the source parameter true. Then you can choose the security group and the subnet as public subnet. I'll just create the endpoint. Now once you click on that create endpoint, it will take around 9 to 10 minutes to create the VPC connect endpoint. And if you see here, my VPC endpoint got created and it's in available state. Now what is my next step is that I will have to go to the EC2 instance and click on the EC2 instance that I want to connect with the EC2 instance connect endpoint. Now here if you just see, there are two options. The previous option we had already tried out. The second one is that connect using EC2 instance connect endpoint. You just have to click on that, and here if you just check this, connect using EC2 instance connect browser based client with the private IPv4 address and VPC endpoint. Now you just have to select the VPC endpoint that you had created just now, add the username and the tunnel duration, that is a maximum of 1 hour. After that it will ask you to reconnect it. Now once you click on that, once you choose the EC2 instance connect endpoint, username, max tunnel duration, you will have to click on the connect. Now boom, so we are able to connect to the EC2 instance. Here if you just check, the same thing, the connectivity is also working, and we have our disk space allocated to our EC2 instance also. So this is how we can connect the EC2 instance with the EC2 instance connect endpoint, EC2 instance browser based window. There is again one more thing is that session manager. So to connect with the session manager, we just have to create a SSM agent, and that SSH agent has to be registered, and then we can use the EC2 instance serial console also. So we'll see about the EC2 instance serial console. So if you just want to use the EC2 instance EC2 serial console, you just have to allow the serial console from the settings. Once the serial console allowed, you just have to click on the connect. This instance type is not supported for the EC2 instance serial connect. So to connect the serial port of EC2 instance must use the type that built on the AWS Nitro system. The fourth thing, if you have your EC2 instance connect with the AWS Nitro system, you can connect with the EC2 serial console. So this is how guys we can connect to the EC2 instance with the help of connect using EC2 instance, connect using EC2 instance VPC endpoint, that is connect endpoint, then the session manager, then the SSH client. To connect with the SSH, if you have the private key, you can connect with the SSH client. If you don't have the private key, if you have the public key, you can connect with the PuTTY. Okay, so in this video we had checked about how we can connect with the private key, how we can connect with the PPK. We haven't connected with the PPK, but you can easily get any of the video to connect it with the PPK file. Then how we can connect with the EC2 instance connect and connect using the VPC endpoint, and the serial console requires the modification in the EC2 instance. Then the secure shell manager. This is also we need to create a SSM agent. So these are the ways where we can connect to the EC2 instance. So I hope this video is helping you to connect to the EC2 instance. Keep going, keep learning, be a cloud Premi always. Thank you.